Welcome back to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. It's your boy DJ KO. I'm glad you guys tuned back into the show. I'm glad you guys hit me up in the DMs. Let me know what's popping. Let me know what's going on. Today was an awesome week. Last week was an awesome week. And hopefully in the future it's going to be more awesome than what it was before. Today we have a special show for you guys today. I know most of you guys been asking questions about real estate and talking about this real estate bubble. Is this real estate going to go up? It's going to go down? How are the taxes going to be? What's going on? So I have a brother here that came. Well, he wasn't formally on Culturally Distinct, but it was a partnering situation that Culturally Distinct collabed with, and you probably seen him on that. But he came back to the show to express some of his interest, and I'm glad he came on the show. I'd like everybody to welcome to the show Mr. Jeff Broome.
That's it. Good evening, man.
Oh, I'll give you the bounce music. Man.
I'll take it. I'll take it. We bounce up north too.
So Jeff, look, tell the people exactly before we get started, where you from?
I'm from the inner city. I'm from the 51st state.
Okay.
Which is what's called Brooklyn.
Come on, man. We don't know what that is, man. The 51st state.
51st state.
I thought it was DC, man.
Nah, there's 50 states and then there's Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah. So you know what you sound like? You sound like those cats from Louisiana. They say
Louisiana?
They say where you from? They say what state you from? They say New Orleans. They say no, what state you from? They say New Orleans. Louisiana is a state, New Orleans is a state.
See,
same way.
That's it. Five boroughs,
right.
Brooklyn.
I see you got people the same everywhere, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
So you from Brooklyn, New York.
Proud of where you come from.
Brooklyn, New York.
Indeed.
Is that where you reside, or that's where
Yeah, so I'm from Brooklyn. I live in Queens.
Okay.
5 boroughs. I've traveled, extensively, been around the country, but that's typically where I'm from. I'm the East Coast, but I like the vibe out here. In
okay.
Houston.
Oh yeah. Houston is pretty good. It's up. Well, I ain't gonna say it's up and coming. Let's say it's a place. It's a melting pot where people from everywhere is coming to live because of what we're gonna talk about real estate.
Sure.
So I want to ask you this question. All Queens. Right. How you live in Queens and you from Brooklyn, man? That's a conflict, man.
Nah, it's not really because there's a book called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Right.
There's one tree
in
Brooklyn. So I had to
Okay.
move out, get a yard, get some grass and stuff.
That is true.
Yeah, so Queens is like that. Borderline Long Island, Queens. So
okay.
It's a good look. It's been a comfortable living.
That's dope. That's dope. I thought
absolutely.
about, me and my wife a long time ago.
Okay.
We thought about moving to the East Coast.
Really?
To Jersey. But I said, nah. I said, I like too much land. I like 2-3 acres, stuff like that.
Yeah, you're not going to get that.
Yeah, not at all. Not like that.
Jersey's a good place, though.
So you're a specialist in real estate. So what is it? I ain't say it's not really a title. So what is it that you do in real estate?
So what it is basically is, I'm a chief operating officer of a mortgage company.
Okay.
Right. And it's Merchant Property Solutions. I run a division called Accredited Mortgage Solutions out of that. And, being in real estate, I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn. My parents, we rented for a long time till my father decided to buy something. And then I did the book thing. I read, and I was in my early 20s. I started buying real estate.
Okay.
When I was 30, I had about 14 houses. So I always was intrigued by that ownership aspect of things and realized that I tried to bring as many of my friends along with me as I possibly could. So I'm in the mortgage game because nothing in real estate moves without the money.
Right.
And like Rakim said, nothing moves without the money.
Nothing moves without the money. You're right.
And we bring the money.
So with that and saying that, I know with our community,
yes,
a lot of us have been doing it for a long time, but it's been one of those underlying type deals. Nobody really knew about it. You might have an uncle that had, like you said, 30 houses, but you never knew what he did.
Right.
Like, I'd never see this dude go to work, but he always got money. You know what I'm saying? One of those type of people. Now it's been known, most of us are getting into this field.
Absolutely.
I did an event the other day, and one of my partners I went to school with, a realtor, he was like, Houston has 28,000 realtors.
Wow.
I was like, 28,000? Houston, just the city of Houston, not Texas, Houston. I was like, I said, do they have that many houses? He's like, nah, man. It's like 4 realtors to one house.
Wow. Competition's heavy.
Super. But he said 4 years ago it wasn't like that.
Yeah. It's not. Well, you know what it is, man? I think that, and I think it's a good time for people to be alive, right? I'm in my 50s.
Okay.
And I think that obviously we know it's about information is key, right? And potential, they say, is, energy sitting still. A lot of people have potential. But as far as us getting educated, we have access to so much information, podcasts like yourself, YouTube, You know, we have so much information. I think that's opened up the eyes because a lot of people, when they're winning, they don't want to give you the key.
Okay.
They don't want you in the door.
Right. Absolutely.
So now with YouTube and the ability to do what you're doing, costs no money, and you can educate thousands of people, millions of people.
Absolutely.
And they see those opportunities.
Yeah, I was. It's funny you said that. I was looking at Dame Dash the other day, and Dame, he was like, you know, he said nothing in his life is considered as bad. He said if it's an opportunity, I'm gonna take it. So he said he wants to start a sports team, right? He's like, but I'm not gonna wait for a white owner to give me permission to buy a team to say, "Hey, I'm just gonna start my own."
You might have watched. Was it All That Smoke with Steven Jackson?
Yeah, that was. You saw what he did with that.
Did he put him on the spot? What's your dream? Start sweating.
But it made sense though. He's like, why you can't start it right now? You got the setup, you got the production.
Everything, man. People find excuses are not reason why they shouldn't win when they have the ability and the capability to do so. You know what I mean? They really do. And he either didn't know, he didn't take the time to write it down. You know, people plan out vacations, but they don't plan out their life.
Right.
They'll do that in a heartbeat. I realized that when I was a manager for Verizon. I worked for Verizon for 14 years. People I'm going on vacation in 8 months. They start planning it out, but they would not plan out what their life is going to be like. So he put him on the spot because he had some talent and ball. He had a dream, but he didn't map out his dream. And you got to have that plan. It needs to be detailed.
Right. So let me ask you about real estate.
Yeah.
One major thing about real estate, and I'm still learning about real estate.
We all are.
For us, right now, where is the best places to purchase?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I want to read you a definition as I pulled this up because I really thought it was interesting, and I just have to share this with individuals and stuff when it comes down to it, man. Let me get to this because people ask that question all the time, and let me just kind of bring something to your attention. I'd love to get your feedback on it as well. Let me get to my little gallery section here. Where we at here? Boom, boom.
Yeah, because that's one of those questions. They're like, well, should I buy in Louisiana, upstate?
So here's the thought process, right? We hear a lot. We're black and brown people, and we hear the word gentrification.
Correct.
Often. And when you really sit back and think about it, because people use it so often, the definition is the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. So these poor urban areas, when it comes down to displacing these people, you don't think about white area. You don't think about an Asian area. This gentrification that we talk about typically only happens with one sect of people in one area in urban areas. And those areas, because they've been downtrodden, they've been run down because of crime, because of drugs, people see an opportunity because the value has decreased to come in and build up those neighborhoods, thereby increasing tremendous amount of equity for the new individuals that come in. So anywhere where you hear that word, for the most part, and that's, you know, our little movement here is called Hood to Homes because I'm from the inner city. And I've seen gentrification take place in Brooklyn, take place in Harlem, where people had $500. They were buying houses for $1. The government was giving them away. Now these things are worth millions of dollars.
Kind of like what's going on in Detroit.
Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys have a couple of wards here that are moving around as well. So I think that I did well when I was in Paterson, New Jersey. I bought about 14 houses in Paterson. I live in New York, but the price to play in New York was very expensive, so I had to drive 45 minutes. But it was an area I was kind of comfortable with. It wasn't the best area, but that's where the opportunity was. Right. And I looked to buy. I never bought anything retail. Everything was either boarded up, wholesale, and I tried to buy the worst house sometimes on the moderate or the best blocks if possible. Okay. So when people ask, you know, I think you need those who work in the city, find out what the zoning plans are for the city. Find out what the mapping is, the master plan for the city. Do some homework, do some research. And in these areas, sometimes there's acres of diamonds in our own backyard when we really want to stay and understand what's happening with gentrification. I think we need to eradicate that word in some way, shape, or form because we need to be the people as black and brown people and not watch because we can easily watch. Oh, look with all these people. Oh, this is changing, that's changing. They're coming to get us.
Right.
But we need to be the ones in there making that happen ourselves.
So the term gentrification. So it's funny, man, because those conversations I have with some of my buddies that's investors, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard this term regentrification?
I've heard that too.
So basically, you're gentrifying with the same people, just with a higher class of income.
So I've heard.
So it's the same process. It's just more black people coming in with more money.
Indeed.
That's pushing out the lesser economically,
Right. Savvy. Right.
Right.
Which, I mean, here's the unfortunate part. Those who are going to experience it, they're going to lose. People are going to lose their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Black, white, whatever it may be. I mean, I think the thing about it is that if something needs to happen, maybe we have to come in with a little bit more care. We have to educate that individual. You know, I know people that if a person is losing their house, they will in some way, shape, or form maybe even try to partner with them in some way, shape, or form to sell it. They'll maybe make sure they have what they need to do to get to the next level, maybe try to find another housing. I know guys that have buildings say, listen, you're losing your house, but I do have a spot for you over here.
Correct.
Because other people will definitely try to take advantage of the situation. So, you know, we can, if we can educate some people in gentrification, regentrification, but we need to be the ones coming back into our own neighborhoods. And who knows, maybe that person will be a renter from you at some point because they couldn't afford the mortgage.
Yeah, I have a friend that I went to college with. You probably heard his name, Chris Senegal.
I heard that name before.
Yeah, Chris Senegal. So what he does is crowdfunding.
Okay.
So crowdfunding, and he gets people that have, some resources to invest in a master community plan that was going to be gentrified.
Love it.
And what he does is he buy multi-family apartments.
Love
and
it.
those ones that they was going to kick out, he managed to keep those individuals in there with an adjusted, rent.
Okay.
Per month. So, because most of those people on fixed incomes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That'd be unfair for them. They've been there 30 years, and you're like, okay, well, these people want you out of here.
But at least we understand out the people that we're dealing with, right? I mean, I have this thing, it's called, because of financial literacy. Number one, buying a house is one thing, keeping it is something different, right? Making a mortgage payment, you could be, every 30 days for the next 30 years. The word mortgage, most people don't understand if that word stands for to death. Like a morticianer to death.
Absolutely.
So basically, when you sign a mortgage, it's almost like to death because most people never pay their homes off, right? But the bottom line is I've got this thing with our people that we suffer from economic incarceration, right? Economically, because we don't understand sometimes finances, we don't understand credit. And without these things, we have no leverage. So therefore, it's good to be, you're in prison and you're locked up and you're behind bars is one thing. But to walk the street and to be locked up financially, I call that economic incarceration. That's a difficult place to be.
Absolutely.
But that's a neck up process.
But you said some terms that are supposed to be that are relevant and important in our community. In the last couple of years, we've been educated or trying to educate ourselves on it, especially like you said, credit.
Absolutely.
Credit, personal and business credit.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Huge.
A lot of us know about it, but a lot of us don't have it.
Can I share?
Yeah.
So I have a site. It's called cashinonmyein.com. And what is the hidden secret is that most people do not understand about business credit. Because if you had a Social Security number and you messed it up, anybody I know would want another Social Security number. If you had a great one and you were doing well, give me another one so I can double down. If I messed it up, I want another one. So therefore I can do this one the right way because I respect it. Mm-hmm. We live in a country where the government will give you another 9-digit number. It's called a tax ID number. It's an EIN number. And what most people fail to realize is that the EIN number is more powerful than the Social Security number.
Absolutely.
Corporations get sold under the tax ID number. Nobody buys a social. That kind of slavery is out. But when people sell businesses and corporations, it's the tax ID number. And you can have more than one. I mean, people who understand the game, Amazon and Walmart, when you look at their corporations and what they build credit under, not worried about the social. It's the EIN number that we need to build out.
Yeah, but see, like people that's been in business and people that have accumulated millions of dollars.
Right.
Well, I ain't gonna say millions of dollars because the IRS is listening. You know what I'm saying? A couple of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, right? We understand that because we want tax breaks.
Correct.
We understand we don't want to spend all this money. That's 30%, and you know the risk. That's another podcast. But we understand getting multiple EINs.
Correct.
To get what we want.
Correct.
And understanding that business credit is key, like super key.
It is.
They give you so much more money for business credit.
Well, they lend off the gross revenue of the business. So when it comes down to business credit, businesses pay the individual. right?
Correct.
So if you're an employee of the business, how much money did the business make? Let's loan against the business. But the key to it is that you guys can go to cashinonmyein.com. It needs to be built out strategically because many corporations you do business with, they don't report. So you got to understand who reports, when they report. And then you got Experian Business, you got Equifax, you got a Paydex score, which comes from your DNB number.
Right.
So unlike personal credit, where so many companies report, business credit has got to be built out strategically. And that's what most people, we need to understand how that actually is done. And that website gives out some information on how to do that.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Now, I always had a theory about this.
Let me hear this.
Right now, I could be wrong because I heard a couple of gurus that had multiple multifamily homes, and they most of them said the same thing, and I couldn't understand it until I started looking into it. Is it wise? Right now, this is a subjective statement. What I'm gonna say,
right?
So, is it wise for a first-time home buyer to purchase a home? Is it wise for that or for them to rent?
First-time homeowner, right?
First-time homeowner. Single family.
Single family. I think any purchase can make sense. It's how you purchase it.
Okay.
Right? So as a single, and then what your goals are. Because everybody's got different goals when it comes down to it. I know people that were in New York, they bought a single family house that it was dilapidated, needed a lot of work, but they were willing to, they stayed in the basement. They did the work on the second floor, the third floor, the fourth floor. Now they got a multi-million-dollar piece of property, but it was a single family residence, right? So I really think that it depends on, what area you're in.
Okay.
Some people have the goal of, getting another investment property. Some people, that's not what they want to do. I will say for a first-time individual, buying a multifamily is probably something that you might not want to do because you might not know how to manage the idea of getting rent.
Right.
It is a business to collect the rent, right? So I'm really thinking about is what your goal is and where you want to go on your purchase when it's all said and done. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody always say everybody pays a mortgage. If you rent, you pay somebody else's mortgage.
Absolutely.
Right? So I just think it depends on where you want to go. Now, I do know people like you have the whole, the Grant Cardone concept.
Yes.
Where Grant says, he's going to sell his house and he's going to rent, doesn't want a mortgage, and he's just going to invest and invest and invest.
Right.
And you got to take everything with a grain of salt because we can watch a lot of people on TV and YouTube, but some people, their bank accounts are different, their backing is different.
Absolutely.
What works for one person might not work for the other.
Right.
So like you said, it's subjective, and I think that it really comes down to drilling down what's that person's long-term goals at the end of the day.
Because I was looking at it, and I've been arguing back and forth with my wife. I was like, we need to just go ahead. But one, we have a lot of equity in our home.
Nice.
So, but I was saying, the investment, we made the investment already.
Okay.
Because the equity is there.
Right.
But for as keeping the home, taxes steady going up. Especially in Texas, it's going up tremendously. Maintenance of the home is there. These master plan communities, it's like you hear your HOA it goes up $100 a month. You know what I'm saying? It's like
absolutely.
It's like you spending more money for keeping this home versus just saying, okay, I paid $2,000 in rent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got a big house in Queens. I lived there with my brothers. My brothers moved out, and sometimes I'm thinking I need to get rid of this. Because if it's the lawn, it's the this, it's the that, and again, that's the mental aspect of it. But I think is what we as intelligent people, like other ethnicities do, their mindset, they teach their children from the door. Not only are we going to buy a house, but we're going to buy investment property because nothing wrong with a mortgage if you can find something to offset the mortgage.
Right.
Then you don't really have that challenge and issue. I think that's the secondary pursuit is to say, okay, fine, if I own a house, how do I defer that payment where it's not coming? But that's the pursuit of what? Passive and residual income.
Correct.
Which is something else that we were never really taught. I didn't really learn until I really, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I think that every person, all of us need to learn how to get passive and residual income very simply because when you work a 9-to-5 job, they take 30% of your money in taxes. And the problem is that your money stops, even though they say 5 o'clock, your money stops at 5 o'clock. But everything else, your gas bill, your light bill, your phone bill, they run 24/7, 7 days of the week.
Right.
And that's why it's the rat race really is. If you think about all the bills, whether you use them or not, interest runs all day, every day.
All day.
So we as intelligent people, and this is the education, what other individuals and ethnicities understand, they're like, I'm going to find something that's also going to pay me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But to what you're saying, it's a pros and cons to that too.
Okay.
So, like you say, interest runs all day.
Correct.
Also, if you invest, it still runs. So they call it what's it called? Compound interest.
Compound interest.
Compound interest. Yeah.
Well, the key to the game is that the revenue you have to create has got to extend past the interest that you're paying. Nothing wrong with paying interest. You know, nothing's good debt, as they say. There's good debt and there's bad debt.
Correct.
Right. So if I'm getting a certain amount of return on my money, I'm getting 12, 15% of return on my money, and I'm borrow somebody else's money at 3, 4, 5, 6%.
Right.
I'm kind of winning. And not only that, if it's building equity over a period of time, I can draw it down and do some things. So yeah, interest is, it's just a part of life.
You're giving us game right now, man.
It's I appreciate that.
You giving us, even though I know most of this stuff, but most of the listeners, because I have these conversations with people all the time, right? And just by listening and just hearing conversations, I think, especially somebody older than me, I think that they're supposed to know. Especially like my parents or, people that came before me, and they don't.
They don't
have a clue.
Clueless.
And I'm like, wow, I've been knowing this, but it's like, I thought you're supposed to know this. And somebody brought this to my attention yesterday. It was like, we're only like one generation removed from almost slavery, like to a degree.
We young in the game.
Like super young.
We young in the game, but we've been here for 400 years, and by all means, we can't make excuses anymore, right? And with fear, people are scared sometimes, and what they say, fear is false evidence appearing real. Right?
Okay,
it's not really something you should be. We scared of the unknown, so to counteract that, right? Because people are scared, they're apprehensive. You try to put it peace, and peace stands for proper education. Always corrects errors.
Okay.
So we have fear, and when we don't know something, the key to the game is get educated, because proper education always corrects errors, and put the team of people. Because like I said, we don't come from generations where your uncle and your father. I grew up in a white neighborhood in the projects, but everybody's father, uncle, cousin was a professional and owned a business.
Oh, wow. Okay. I
came from a world where everybody in my family worked for civil service. They were police officers. My father worked for transit. We didn't really own businesses.
Right.
So it's a different conversation. So I'm a product of that environment where I became a worker. And now we have generations of people now with all these individuals, entrepreneurs, the next generation can take over.
That's dope. So you use two terms that I want to get into. You said fear.
Yes, sir. And
unknown.
Yes.
Let's talk about the bubble.
Okay.
Because that's an unknown fear.
It is.
Right?
It is.
It's an awesome segue, I'm glad you're in my mind.
Listen, man, we're on the same page.
So that bubble, right now in the real estate game, it's like up.
Yeah.
It's super, it's like up. Like that song by Cardi B is up.
It's up.
It's up.
It's up. It's up. And it's up.
It's up.
And we needed to come down. Come down.
Because it's like, this is unreal. It's like this stuff is like all the way up here, and the equity in homes is $200,000, $300,000, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So eventually it's going to hit a glass ceiling.
It is.
Or it's just going to keep rising, and everything else is just going to rise.
Yeah, eventually these things, and the government wants to put some things in place with interest rates where it has to cap out at some point in time. So I'm in the mortgage business. So what rates were, it's like the gas prices where, I'm back north, it was like $5 a gallon, and you think about it 6 months ago, it was like $3 and change.
Correct.
So obviously the higher the interest rate goes, the less of a house that you could afford. Right? People are, because this is a supply and demand issue, I don't know anybody who's buying virtually anything so much below the appraised value.
Correct.
Right? We get appraisals come back all the time. We're licensed in 33 states.
Okay.
Most of what we do is we cater to business owners because we have a lot of programs. My partner owns the bank. It's his money. So a lot of the programs that we have, you're not going to find at TD, Chase, and all the other banks that are out there. Because they have to follow strict guidelines. So we can rule by a different rule when it's all said and done. So we have a lot of programs where we don't look at tax returns, just look at bank statements. We have other programs where there's no sourcing or seasoning, meaning, it's an investment property. As long as you guys come to the table with 20%,
okay,
meaning long as it's not in the suitcase at the closing. It doesn't have to be in the bank for 2 months. There's no source, no season, ask any questions for the most part, whatnot. You got the money. Someone's got the credit.
Right.
We close. Business owners love that. But the interest rates definitely have gone up, which means, now you have to look at, which we offer as well, you have to look at maybe interest-only loans, right? Maybe you're not paying down. I did that back in, dating myself, but, many years ago when I was doing
Does that exist still?
It does. We actually offer those, right?
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we're just not giving them out to anybody.
Okay.
But if the money is there and the credit's there and you show the ability to manage money is extremely important.
Right.
And that's where the credit report comes in. That is your financial resume.
Right.
When you go to a job, you give them your resume. Same thing with your credit report. Let me see how much money you've been managing and how long you've been managing it. And if you've been managing it successful, banks want to give you more money. So interest-only loans are one way to do it because now if you come in and you're only paying, it could be a 30 or 40 year, but now you're just paying the interest, which increases your cash flow. Okay. So the key to the game, it doesn't really matter how the wind blows something. You just have to know how to change your strategy. That's what good coaches do. Sometimes in life, you got to call a timeout. Most people don't. I call timeouts all the time. Stop, reevaluate, reassess, find out who's going back in the game, who am I taking out of the game because things have changed, and then we go back and we play ball.
Okay. So let me ask you, who taught you all these acronyms, man? You got peace, you got fear,
man, I got
team, everything, man.
I got another. Well, here's the one thing. I know that what we don't want to do is we don't want to be poor because what poor people do is poor people pass over opportunities repeatedly. That's what poor people do.
Okay.
Right. So when the opportunity, because a lot of people are like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then you give them the opportunity and they just run right by it.
Right.
Or you don't want to be broke.
Okay.
Barely recognizing opportunities that knock every day.
Okay.
Right? So this is what we do because here's the thing. The information, I talk to my partners. I'm like, I'm in my 50s, man. This is a great time to be alive. We can talk about Bitcoin and cryptos and NFTs and metaverse and the multiverse and whatever it is. These weren't even conversations we were having before really 5 years ago. It's just happening, right? So my partners and I, we also are getting our license to do cannabis in New Jersey as well. Okay. Right? But that wasn't the conversation 5 years ago. So at some point in time, the not having what you want, being poor, broke, it's going to be a choice that you make. Absolutely. Because it's going to be access, and you're going to see too many of your friends winning. Right. And we got social media.
Wait, you said something that made a lot of sense. So it's called opportunity.
Yes, sir.
So a couple of years past, we didn't have the opportunity. Even though we might have had the capital, we probably had, the know-all, but we didn't have the opportunity.
Correct.
And that's what transitioned into this. I want to get into banking.
Okay.
Right? Because
when you say get into banking, what do you mean by that?
As far as getting a loan.
Okay, I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Understood.
Because it's a history.
Yes.
That a black person goes in the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And says, okay, I want to buy an apartment complex, 15 units. It's X, Y, and Z amount of dollars. Everything's laid out. I've been doing this for years.
Right.
I got the credit.
Right.
Denied. Go to the next bank. Denied. White counterpart go in there with nowhere near the credit, nowhere near the capital. Approved.
Yeah. So there's a good movie called The Banker. If you ever saw that, it was a great movie, and how they put somebody who was Caucasian at the front. And that's why it's so important for us as black and brown people that we have to continue to strive to hit these positions in the banks, in corporate America, no matter where it may be, because we need to be able to pull some people up. And that's why we're excited about this whole neighborhood to homes thing. So I'm a COO of a situation in this banking, and I understand that I have to talk sometime to my people a little differently. Right. They're intimidated to go maybe into a bank. Maybe because, they're from the inner city, they got some money. Maybe their language is not the best. They don't articulate their diction. They're intimidated. People are watching them. And we lose out as a result of that, right? Outside of the systemic racist part that you talked about as well. So, I think we all need to practice, like Dr. Claude Anderson says, racism. I'm a racist, and not in a bad way. That just means that if my son is running a race and he's racing against his cousin, no offense, I want my son to win.
Absolutely.
If the United States is in the Olympics and somebody's running from the Olympics against somebody from Germany or Brazil, I want the person from the United States to win. I'm African American. This is what the Jewish people do, the Indian people do. There's nothing wrong with that. They just want to see. I'm not going to break your leg so you can't win.
Right.
But the challenge is that we haven't been on a even playing field
at all.
And people haven't been playing fair and square.
Right.
But I want to promote that the people that I know, they can win because that's what every other race does, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. So let me ask you this about partnerships with your company.
Yeah.
How does that work? For as partnering with people that want to come in and invest into your community, into the communities that you want to, put funds into.
Sure. I mean, so I think, like you said, it's really all about education. And, people, I'm on the phone all the time with friends. And here's the beautiful thing about it is that, we're in the mortgage business. And I don't think there's anything you can buy that's really going to impact your life and change your life in a way that buying a piece of real estate potentially. You could buy a car, you could buy shoes, books, bags, whatever it may be outside the birth of your children, maybe to move your people, so hood to homes and moving your family, maybe to a different neighborhood where the banking system is there, the supermarkets are there, the education is there, right?
Right.
Because Dame Dash talked about, he's like, yo, I'm not going back to the hood.
Right.
Because they're going to get me involved with something I don't need to be involved in, right? So our mindset is, people say, so what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? And a lot of people, they're not ready. Their dreams and where they want to go, it's okay. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's map out the plan. Change your mindset on what you do with your money over the next 6 months. Let's go back and work on your credit, put you like in an incubator program. You're a preemie, you're not ready.
Okay.
And the bottom line is, and then who can you collaborate with once you find out? Because that's what that's what a coach does.
Yes.
What's missing on the team? Let me go find those individuals. Winning is inevitable if you really want to win, because you're going to find those people that can help you make that happen. So it's really all about let's have real honest conversations. You can't be delusional. Right? Of where you are. And some people just don't make enough money. Well, then you have to figure out in some way, shape, or form to either find those individuals, maybe go back to school, get another degree, become more valuable to the marketplace, get a second job, sacrifice. Don't look at these people on other ethnicities, because, most of the Uber drivers I've experienced over the last, couple of months, they're not African-American, but they don't have that sense of pride of what they're not going to do.
Right.
They know what they need to do.
So you said something that that I have these conversations with everybody, with every race. But one thing that, and it's I don't know if it's a tribal thing with us, is because the thing is, I see just about every other ethnicity do it, and that's called team.
Oh yeah,
like they work together,
Absolutely.
Even if they hate each other. They're gonna work together because they see the end goal, and they all want to make money at the end of the day. I don't understand why a lot of us they have the knowledge. I'm talking about. I ain't talking about uneducated individuals. I'm talking about people that's educated, that have formal education, have street education, have money, but can't work together.
Man, that's a great question. That's a whole another panel. I learned, I think that as you get older, right, we all used to, when you're young, you want to compete. When you get older, you learn how to collaborate.
Right.
My mindset on what I looked at other people, I've learned over a period of time to congratulate another man's success. We even have a problem as a people. I'm from up north. We won't walk by somebody and be like, hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? We look and we just, everything is a standoff at some point in time. And there needs to be a movement just as black men, just when we see another black man, what's up, my guy? How you doing, brother?
Right.
Because that lowers the defenses. Now, the challenge is that we have to learn how to do good business too.
Okay.
Right? Because I think that sometimes individuals, and it's not just the business, I think there's other things that involve when it comes down to integrity, when it comes down to character, when it comes down to discipline, when it comes down to those think and grow rich kind of principles. Sometimes people lack those issues. And we've been burnt by people that look at us.
Absolutely.
Because we're not professional. We don't do what needs to be done, and therefore we shy away. So I can't work with these individuals anymore. We got to change that.
And another thing, we have a short leash.
Yeah.
When we deal with our own people, we have a short leash. That's God.
You almost think like I'm waiting for him to mess it up.
He gonna mess it up. I gave him opportunity. He gonna mess it up.
I'm just waiting.
I don't know, but it's something, man. That it's like I don't know if it's a curse or what, man. Because like we don't give like even like understand family. That's different.
Correct.
Family, it's hard to get family opportunity because family, they got other intentions.
Right.
And, they got a whole nother,
Exactly.
I can get this money from them. Don't worry about it. But if it's somebody that, you've seen them do the actual work,
Right.
they're trustworthy. It's like you just can't, like, it's hard to, like, just say,
Yeah.
I believe you. Come on, man. I got the funds. You got the credit. Let's do this together.
What's so funny is, like, I grew up in the era, when we even going to school, it was crazy because the first day of school, you had to wear certain things, you had to look a certain way, because we're always trying to impress. So I have this other thing that I want to start. It's called Impress Your Banker, Not Your Boys. Because we don't have a lot, but we're always trying to impress other individuals. And sometimes if I put money in your pocket, maybe you have more than me, you got a bigger house than me, you got a better car than me.
Right.
Because these are the things that made us feel good.
Correct.
See, for other ethnicities, that doesn't make... I live across the street from an Indian guy in a very nice neighborhood out in Jamaica Estates and Queens, and he always says to me, Jeff, I don't understand certain things. He's like, come to my house, sit down and talk, because that's what we need to do, maybe sit down with other ethnicities and really understand how they move and why they move the way they move. He was like, Jeff, I don't understand. He says, tell me, how come your people, how come they have so many pairs of sneakers? He says, my son's got 3 sneakers. He said, not even 3 pairs. He says, got 3 sneakers. I mean, you 3 pairs, right? Yes, you know what I'm talking about. So he says, one for school, one for the weekend, and one to play around in. He says, I said, for school year, he's got 4 pairs of pants, and he's got maybe 5 shirts. He says, this is good for you for the school year. He says, I don't understand. How come your people have so many pairs of sneakers?
Right.
But that's our swag to a certain extent.
Yeah, we gotta look good.
Yeah, we gotta look
be
good.
Fresh, man.
But we gotta put things in perspective.
That is true too.
That's the most important thing. Let me share this one story with you. I was talking to a young lady. She's a very good friend of mine. She's trying to buy a house, and she says, Jeff, I said, listen, you gotta save some. You need money for a down payment. She said, I don't have a lot. I said, let me look at your credit report. I looked at the credit report. I seen Bloomingdale's. I seen Nordstrom's. I seen this. I seen that. I seen this.
Ooh.
She says, Jeff, do you think there's any special program for me that they have, FHA, whatever? I said, I got a program for you. It's called Poshmark.
Right. Get the discount, right.
You need to sell all that stuff that's sitting. You got $20,000 of bags and shoes and Poshmark. You take your stuff and you sell it.
Sell it, right.
eBay. I said, that's the program you need to be on. You need to reprioritize. And that's what most people need. And for every dollar, you make a decision to be richer or poorer. And when you really understand that, and it took me a minute, I said, what am I about to do? Because Jewish people, they don't play that. What am I about to do with this dollar? And no matter what it is, they're going to negotiate all day long.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
But we so free with our money. We go to the club, we go here, we go there. We free with our money.
Right.
Other ethnicities, like,
You're tight, yeah.
I work hard for this dollar.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a brainwashing or what. I don't know, man, because especially with the ladies, man, they gotta have this hair, they gotta have these purses and these shoes. No disrespect to the ladies, I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, like you say, you put things in perspective. But it's not a bashing thing. Y'all love y'all, but because I know they're gonna be hitting me up like, what you say? So let me ask you this last question.
Yes, sir.
Neighborhood to homes.
Yes, sir.
What's the future for neighborhood to homes?
Yeah, so we're licensed in 33 states, man. And there's other entities that are out there, and kudos to all of them. There's like Buy Back the Block. I've heard of that before. They're doing extremely well. And I'm sure that other people have other initiatives. We're just another individuals, because we bring some of the money to the table, right? So therefore, we understand that there's a conversation sometimes that needs to be had, whether it be consulting them with their credit, maybe helping them out, putting them through some programs, whatever it may be. But it is about us as individuals, owning. We worked in this country for a long time for free.
Right.
And don't own the land, right? Because that's created wealth for so many other individuals. So we're licensed in 33 states, right? So every time we get somebody pre-approved or they close on a home, they become our homies.
Got you.
Hood to homes.
Got you.
So the key to the game is how many homies can we create, right?
I see you.
Yeah.
You're changing the perspective of the term.
Absolutely.
I got you.
Because we resonate with that. Because black people move around a movement, whether it's civil rights, whether it's Black Lives Matter,
right?
Whether it's rap music or hip hop. That's a movement.
Absolutely.
Right? We telling stories. So we need to tell stories when it's all said and done. So Hood to Homes, and I'm actually working with a media company right now that we're going to take this, and I can't really go into divulge how it is, but it's going to be a series.
Okay.
Of taking individuals from one place to the other in the home process, because we don't see that very often. What is an appraiser? What does a title company do? Do I need an inspection? What does this mean? What does that mean? So we fear what we don't know.
Right.
So we trying to hood to homes. We're going to put some people at peace.
Don't be like what Paul Mooney said. He said, Paul Mooney said, be careful now. They going to come steal me if I'm not careful. So, but look.
But it's cool because I sit on the board of the media company, so it's all right.
But look, that was the last question. But look, Jeff, I want you to give the individuals your social media. Yeah. What can they find you?
Awesome.
Everything, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be hitting you up because you have a lot of information for us trying to purchase a home, trying to get things situated, or they want to get their kids situated. Let the people know where can they find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can hit me up. My IG is jeff.broome, jeff.broome, Neighborhood to Homes, also on IG. And the name of our company is AMS, and I'm Jeff at amsgroup.com. Hit me up at any point in time. Our game plan is to create as many homies as possible. So if you want to be a homie, hit me up and let's see what we can get done. We have the money. The money's not the problem. The money will always be there. It's who we delivering the money to. So let's go.
That's dope. Hey, look, make sure y'all hit Jeff up because this brother got a lot of information, a lot of stuff that he gave. Actually, this was a free game. This was like a seminar, $1,500 seminar. You know what I'm saying? So every view of it, I need to charge y'all $1,500.
Send the check. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Then I'm a partner, and then I'm gonna give Jeff a portion of it. You know what I'm saying?
A portion. I love it.
A portion. I'm gonna donate a portion, right?
A donation now.
So, guys, look, this is the Costly Distinct podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Jeff, one more time, social media.
Yes, Jeff.Broome and Neighborhood to Homes on IG. Hit me up. Let's go. Let's make it happen. And on Facebook, same exact thing.
There it is. That's your boy. This is your boy, DJ KO. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Peace out.